We're here for this special announcement here today, and from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We have lots of great folks here that here to see this happen. We're just grateful. So I want to welcome you to this event, and there are a couple of things that are happening today that I think are going to make us all very happy. And we got residents here from our RAB board, our resident advisory board. We have other residents also here. We have members of our senior staff here from the Housing Authority, and but so many whose names I don't want to call them all. We have a couple of our board members here. Our chairman is going to be speaking. So just want to give a shout out to everybody that I can for this. But we want to, at this point, welcome Mr. Joe DeFelice, who is the Region 3 Regional Administrator for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and he will come up and give some remarks.
All right. Try to fit this up here, because Lisa will get mad if I don't read this. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy to be back in Wilmington. Some of you know that I spent some time in Wilmington before coming to HUD. I went to Widener Law School, so I lived in Wilmington for 2 years, and I lived in Claymont for a year. So I really got to enjoy Wilmington and really got to know it. Being a Philadelphian, sometimes you don't always get down to Wilmington, but really kind of getting to know Wilmington, experience it, getting to know the people, and what are those hoagies you guys have? What's it, Capriotti's, the Bobbies? They're amazing, right? I mean, I think, so we're probably, Elvis, where are you at? You want to try to get some on the way home? All right, so before I get started, I'd like to recognize some of our team that are here today. We have, as many of you know, Maria Bynum. Maria runs our Delaware field office. And she really may be the nicest person you've ever met in your entire life. And that was hard for me coming from Philadelphia, where everyone is miserable all the time. And everyone seems to, this is live, right? Everyone seems to always have an angle. And when they're being nice to you, you wonder what that angle is. But Maria is just genuinely like the nicest person possible. And speaking of nice, we also have Lisa Wolf from our office. She's our public affairs officer, also a Delaware, both of which are Wilmington residents, but well, Lisa, you're not a Wilmington native, right? You're a resident.
Correct.
You've been here how long?
Since 2001.
So that's like you're still a newbie.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And we have some of the rest of our team here. We have Elvis Sullivan and Phil Trometer, and we also have Lisa Nowinski here, who's really been heading up a lot of our EnVision Center programs. So I'd ask that you give them a round of applause as well. You know, when Secretary Carson first announced the EnVision Center initiative, it was really kind of HUD specific, and that's good, but it doesn't always have the same level of oomph, say, as like some of the other administration initiatives. So what happened was the president established through the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council 17 federal agencies and 3 regional partners would work together on enhancing opportunity zones. And one of the things that came out of that was we started working much more closely with our other federal agencies. It started around opportunity zones, but expanded out to a lot of the work that we do at HUD. And what we've been able to do, working with our partners at EPA and SBA, GSA, you know, all the alphabet soup organizations throughout the country. But we have here with us today Linda Cruz Carnell, who was with the Economic Development Administration. And she's not only here to support the work that HUD is doing, she's here to essentially assist any way that EDA can help. And you will see that same level of assistance with the other federal agencies. Because one thing I've realized that we need to do more and more with not only the federal government, frankly, and I think you all do a great job of it here with your federal government senator and your local government mayor and your county and state governments, is you really work together to bring down the silos. As I've traveled throughout this region, for those that don't know, Region 3, which I represent, is Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and D.C. I've made it a point to travel this region extensively over the last 2.5 years. We visited 180 counties in those 2.5 years. And one of the themes is the same, is a lot of time government doesn't talk to each other. And we see it and at the federal level all the time. You know, EPA operates in their silo, and GSA operates in their silo. And so we've been really tasked with helping break down the silos. And that's why I love coming to Wilmington. I love coming to Delaware, because me and the mayor were just talking about it. I mean, you really have shown that the ability to break down those government silos, that having, you know, the 3 different branches of federal, state, and local government work together, but also have the other partners work together as well. So anyway, today it's my pleasure to announce the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is launching an EnVision Center demonstration here in Wilmington. This is the first EnVision Center announcement in the first state. And I know we have several folks with us here today who in their own words will tell us why we are the first. It's because of the work you all are doing on behalf of the residents to help them achieve independence and economic self-sufficiency. So it is my great pleasure to designate the Wilmington Housing Authority and the City of Wilmington as an official HUD EnVision Center demonstration site. You now join the 46 communities around the country with this highly competitive designation, a signature initiative of HUD Secretary Ben Carson. EnVision Centers are a joint effort to connect low-income households with a variety of resources, offering pathways to economic opportunity and self-sufficiency. EnVision Centers will typically be located on or near public housing developments that serve as centralized hubs that offer services in 4 areas. The economic empowerment pillar is designed to improve the economic sustainability of individuals residing in or near HUD-assisted housing by empowering them with opportunities to improve their economic outlook. The education pillar seeks to bring educational opportunities directly to residents and include partnering with public and private organizations that approach education in non-traditional ways on non-traditional platforms. The health and wellness pillar is designed to provide access to services to improve the health and well-being of individuals and families. And finally, the character and leadership pillar is designed to enable all individuals and families residing in HUD-assisted housing, especially young people, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens by encouraging participation in volunteer and mentoring opportunities. The EnVision Center demonstration is designed to increase collaboration across federal agencies, state and local partners, nonprofits, and faith-based organizations, and the private sector to offer services that respond to the unique needs of each community. For generations, the idea of government-provided housing assistance meant one thing: help pay the rent. But housing assistance should be more than just putting a roof over someone's head. These EnVision Centers offer a more holistic housing approach by connecting HUD-assisted families with the tools they need to become self-sufficient. Here in Delaware, as well as across the country, there are many unassisted households waiting to get access to some form of housing assistance and wait for many, many years. If we succeed in helping families become self-sufficient, more families will be able to access the housing assistance they so desperately need. To identify local needs, each EnVision Center demonstration community will convene local stakeholders and resident councils, and very important, resident councils. You know, before I came to HUD, I ran a civic association. I was a president of a civic association for 6 years, and I take that everywhere I go. And I'm kind of going a little off script here, but I think it's important. When I appreciate that. Elvis, we need more of that, right? But it's true. I mean, one thing that I see come out of Washington, and this is no disrespect to the senator here, but
say words.
Okay, gotcha. Is a lot of times there's a top-down approach, right? I mean, we have really smart people, especially in HUD headquarters, that come up with really great ideas, and they say, you know what, this is what you should do, Wilmington, or this is what you should do, Northeast Philadelphia, or this is what you should do, Scranton. But a lot of times they do that without talking to the people of Wilmington, Northeast Philadelphia, and Scranton. So coming from a position of running a civic association, the neighborhood I'm from is called Mayfair. It's in Northeast Philadelphia. There's 50,000 people in my neighborhood. So it's not a small neighborhood by any stretch of the imagination. But we would regularly convene zoning meetings and really be the voice of the people from the ground level. These cookie cutter approaches don't always work. So having those resident councils engaged, having those neighbors engaged, helps drive what we want to do here through these EnVision Centers. No 2 centers will be alike. Since different communities have different needs and different priorities. These centers will connect HUD-assisted families and other area residents with the tools they need to be self-sufficient and flourish. It's our way to bringing hope and opportunity to thousands of families. Just know that we will not measure success by the number of people who enter these centers. Success will be measured by the number of individuals who achieve self-sufficiency, who no longer require assistance from our programs, who gain the financial independence to be able to rent or even buy their own homes. The despair of any of our families in public housing is our business, and it's our problem to help solve. The creation of the EnVision Center is another tool in our collective arsenal as we look to find solutions to this immense challenge of helping families move out of poverty, off federal assistance, and into a more rewarding life full of hope and opportunity. The road to self-sufficiency is not an easy path. We will hear from a few individuals today who through their hard work and your support have accomplished great things by themselves and with their families. But if we ever hope to succeed in helping more individuals and more families, we need to envision, see how I just did that? A new path forward. One that focuses on the whole family and not just the roof over their heads. Because everybody deserves the opportunity to gain skills necessary to build self-sufficiency and independence. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Senator Coons.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you to everybody at HUD for your leadership and your engagement, to Wilmington Housing Authority for what you do to help make this the single largest source of affordable, safe, sanitary, decent housing for people here in Wilmington. There's about 7,000 people in WHA housing in the city of Wilmington. And this goes all the way back, I mean decades, to a commitment we made as a nation in 1947. In the first National Housing Act, that we would, as a country, make available and work together to provide housing that would be a platform on which people could live a decent life and raise children and live out their later years in safety and in decency. And we have failed many times over the decades to meet that vision. But we keep trying to get better at it and to make progress towards it. I'm honored to be here with our Mayor, Mike Przicki, who is someone who has been a builder and a leader and really has helped use the tools of the private sector and of construction, of investment, and of innovation to help lift up our city and to frankly create whole new communities. So Mr. Mayor, could you give Mayor Przicki a round of applause, please, for everything he does for all of us. I had the joy of welcoming an out-of-town guest the other day, a senator from Michigan. He's from Detroit. So he's seen the good and the bad of housing and economic development. He was here just for an overnight, and I drove him around. He was tired. He maybe didn't want to do this, but I drove him around, and we drove through the riverfront, which is the first thing you see from the train. And I told him the whole story of riverfront revitalization, but I also said, if that's all you see of Wilmington, you're missing what's really happening. Because there are corners and communities, there are neighborhoods, and there are areas that are stronger and bolder and more vibrant today. And that is because of your leadership and engagement, and it's because of our mayor and city council. So I am proud to call Wilmington home, and I'm grateful for what you bring to this. And to Mr. DeFelice, the point you made about civic communities and organizations only work from the bottom up. We can't have Washington tell us how to run housing and community development here in Delaware. So whether it's right here at Crestview, whether it's at Reach Riverside, whether it's in my old neighborhood Triangle where I was on the Civic Association board for a decade, if you aren't doing what folk need to help make the neighborhood stronger and more vibrant, you're really not meeting their needs and you're really just wasting money. One of the things I do in Washington, I'm on 5 different committees. One of them is the Appropriations Committee. We decide how to spend $1 trillion a year. And I'm on the subcommittee that's responsible for all federal housing. It's a $56.5 billion annual appropriation. It's the Transportation and Housing Subcommittee. And we had kind of a fight the last couple years about prioritization. I won't get into all the details. But the decade that I spent working in county government alongside city government gave me a window into programs like community development block grants and home, the ways in which we can help make either Section 8 or publicly owned housing stronger and better. And I went and had a delightful conversation with our Secretary of HUD after our last budget fight. And one of the things he was proud of and was talking about was these EnVision centers as a new way to bring together federal resources, federal housing, and lots of other agencies and organizations. And I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that through the hard work of folks here in the HUD office at Region 3, the mayor, and the WHA leadership, that today there's $142,000 coming right here to Crestview, to this community, for engagement and for uplift. So to James Spadola, to Maria Bynum, to John Hill, to everybody who helps lead WHA, and frankly, to the folks we're about to hear from who are telling us how this is going to be the platform that lifts you up and gives you engagement, gives you hope, and gives you opportunity, thank you. I just got in late last night from Washington. I'm getting on a train right after this to go down. The reason I'm here is to be encouraged, is to be reminded that those of us who choose to spend time in public service have the opportunity, if we listen to you, to make a meaningful and lasting difference. So thank you for what you're bringing today. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to continuing to support this EnVision Center. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Senator. I mean, it's extremely encouraging that you're here today. I didn't think anyone actually expected to see you here today. So that's awesome. That's really great. I had an opportunity. I've obviously worked with the senator's staff a lot since I've been in this role, but I hadn't had an opportunity to spend too much time with the senator. But I did get a time. A couple months ago, I saw him. We were both waiting for the Amtrak at the same time, and I went up and I introduced myself to him, and I began talking a little bit about opportunity zones, which, as you know, there's several here in Wilmington, and he was very strong in his about it supporting affordable housing, and that stuck with me the entire time. So after that, we've done several meetings in and around Wilmington, specifically dealing with not only opportunity zones, but affordable housing around opportunity zones. Matter of fact, later this afternoon, we're going to be headed over to Second Chances Farm. If you're not familiar with Second Chances Farm, it's right up the road, but it's an old blighted vacant warehouse that has been transformed into an indoor urban vertical farm, hiring only ex-offenders with a 10-year plan to sell the farm to those employees. And it's really an interesting way to combat blight, to provide jobs to the immediate community, which sits right next door to a public housing development, and find a way to sell that and get investment from the community. So again, Senator, I appreciate your words, and obviously I appreciate all you do for the people of not only Wilmington, the people of Delaware, and the people of this country. But with that, I'd also like to turn over to the first meeting I had outside of my office. I've been to Wilmington, outside of Philadelphia, I've been to Wilmington probably more than anywhere else in this region, probably more than even D.C. We've been here an awful lot over the last 2.5 years, and the state of Delaware. And my first meeting outside of the office was with Mayor Persicki. I was pretty green, as you can remember, and I was just trying to figure out, the ways of the world outside of Northeast Philadelphia. But I really got an insight into what Mayor Mike, speaking of the riverfront, and we actually had lunch down at the riverfront, really seeing the work that he had done. I learned a lot about him, and I know his passion for the community. And James, we spent some time together as well. We've had lunch as well. I had a lot of lunch in this job, right? It's almost too many lunches, right? I pay for them myself. Don't worry about it. And we've spent some time together, and I've seen your passion as well. And John, the work that you guys are doing. When I first came here, there was a little bit of an uneasy footing here, but I think we've corrected the ship. And so I'd ask you all to come up. Mayor Mike, James Spadola, and John Hill, please come up.
In that order?
You can do it whatever way you want. You're the mayor.
Thank you, Joe. I said to Maria, I said, is he Mr. Administrator? She goes, no, he's Joe. Joe, this is my day off. Yeah, so my staff said, hey, get out of here. You need to take some time. And so I had a Florida trip planned. I canceled it, but I said, well, I'm going to take the days off anyway, and it's been great. But they said, but Tuesday, Joe DeFelice is coming up here, and I said, this guy has been so good to Wilmington. He has got there's a personal touch that Joe has with our city, and he described Maria perfectly. And I'm so grateful for that relationship. I said, no, I'm going. So I screwed up my whole day, get down and work. You can't work a little bit, you got to get there. So Joe, you know, we're both graduates of Widener, it's a little thing we have in common. Did you practice?
Yeah.
I tortured people for 10 years, and I decided I'd do something else.
I did referrals.
So let me just say this. This is very meaningful to me because what I've learned in a long career in housing, by the way, I've been in the housing business myself, is that just providing housing to people is not enough. Just getting someone a job is not enough. We have a lot of people who are just not prepared. They're not prepared to take on the challenges of living without supports, without other supports. Many of us take for granted the kind of upbringing we had. A lot of folks didn't have it. They didn't have all that support. And so to me, this is smart government. This really is. I'll give you an example. I was chairman of the Hope Commission for years, and we built the Achievement Center for men coming out of prison. And what the Achievement Center was, a one-stop, because it was, okay, mostly men, but men and women, you've been in prison, you've got some challenges ahead of you, you're going to come to this building, and we're going to bring all of the available services into this building, so you are going to get supported in your effort to make your life good. And it works. And it really works. In the city of Wilmington, we have to get people to go through all of our processes. And what we're doing is we're going to have a concierge there for people. Somebody to say, here's the department you have to go into. Wrong door, wrong department. Here is a program that's available for you. The problem we have about the kind of resources that are available is people don't know them. And if they don't know about them, they may as well not have them. And so what this looks like to me is government being smart. Government saying we're going to place our little one-stop here so people are going to come here. We're not only going to help them, we're going to tell them what's available to them. We're going to guide them in their effort to make a better life. And if it is housing, and if it is employment, and it's every other facet of well-being, this is what we have to do together. So Joe, thank you for being up here. I'm delighted to be here, sacrificing my day off to be with you. I'm only kidding. I love what I do. Chris, you should have run for mayor. What the hell they do down there, I have no idea. But God love all of you. Thank you once again for bringing bright news to our city. And now here's James Spadola, chairman of the board. All right, John Hill. Listen, doing a great job for our housing authority. John Hill. Thank you, John.
Okay, everybody, just wanted to say that it's always a pleasure to have folks like you and Senator Coons and the mayor and other dignitaries to come just to support not only the Wilmington Housing Authority, but all the resources that we have here, because all of that has to come to bear in order to help all of the different needs that we have in the city of Wilmington. I believe that centers like this, and I've been having many conversations with HUD, is that the housing authorities ought to be placed in cities to help local needs. Right now we put in a cookie cutter, and we don't fit all the needs of other cities, right? And so this is one of the ways that we help and address the local needs of the city of Wilmington. And so I want to introduce to you right now the chairman of the Wilmington Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. He's the newly elected chairman, so he's kind of fresh, but he's been very involved and very pleasurable to work with, and we have lots of conversations and stuff about what the Housing Authority is doing. And so again, I just appreciate the commissioner, and he can also, if he chooses to recognize other commissioners who are here. And so again, thank you, Commissioner Spadola, for the work you do. And
hello, everybody. I'm James Spadola. I'm the chair of the board for the Wilmington Housing Authority. First, I'd love to recognize fellow commissioners. I see Commissioner Vincent White, the longest-serving board member of WHA. And no offense, Vincent, but now I'm going to introduce my favorite board member, Commissioner Betty Pinkett. Thank you for being with us today. And I also see a lot of resident council leadership from all over Wilmington. Just real quickly, I see Chef Patrick, Miss Stephanie. You didn't have to come too far, but thank you for being here. I see Miss Rochelle from Hurley. As I see some Riverside residents, I see Miss Sonia, Miss Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Miss Raven, Thank you for coming from Compton. Thank you for coming from Crestview, Miss Wanda. It's a joy to be here. You know, when I was thinking about my remarks, which will be very brief, I promise. One thing we should all celebrate right now is so often in this country, it's very easy to focus on what divides us. But when we talk about self-sufficiency, we're focusing on something that unites us. No matter your political affiliation, no matter what you think about Iowa last night, we're all here united to help our Wilmington residents. So, and I think thank you, Joe, for bringing this to Wilmington. I would like to think it's a commendation and a continuation of the good work we've been doing. Specifically, since we brought John on board, we have a massive project in Riverside. Miss Lisa, Miss Sonia, good times are coming. When we talk about underserved communities not getting the resources they need, well, we are changing that in Riverside. I see some REACH board members and staff. I saw Dave, I saw Logan, bringing in millions of private dollars to provide a better quality of life to our own residents. So I just want to thank everybody for being here and kicking it back to John Hill.
Okay, we don't operate without compassion. I can tell you that the staff of this Housing Authority and the Supportive Services Department and Admina Williams, would you please stand if y'all can see her? This, have the whole staff stand, the whole staff. They go way out in helping the residents and the staff of the Housing Authority assist people with achieving greater independence. And so somebody said earlier about the Housing Authority is not just about housing, and I've long called it for many years, it's the other side of housing that we also have to be concerned about. Because after you house people, there are other things that people need in order to connect their lives with success. And so I'm going to give you a few examples of that today. They're here. And I'd like for these three people who have gone through our Opportunities and Self-Sufficiency program to come up. And we're going to give them a couple of minutes to tell you about themselves. Nakia Wallace. You can stand right there. Leola Lightfoot. And is she here?
Yes.
Okay. And Wendy Williams. Is Wendy Williams here?
Wendy
No?
Williams?
Yes, that Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams not here? Okay. So we're going to give them a couple of minutes so you can see where the dollars and the efforts go in these folks' lives.
Hello. My name is Nakia Wallace, and a major delight for me is volunteering in Wilmington Housing Authority's one-stop shop. I've been with Wilmington Housing Authority for the last 10 years, working and doing work study with the resident services. As some of my responsibilities in working with Wilmington Housing Authority are assessing individual resident training and service plans, helping to link residents with resources and necessary services to participate and complete requirements for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development programs. I find joy in volunteering my time working with families to increase their potential to become self-sufficient. When I first came to the Resident Services Department and met Mrs. Armina, her presence is amazing. Her personality shows you love and service for others, makes you believe that you can be the best with the best you, with hard work, ethics, resiliency, faith, integrity, and a good heart. I felt inspiration and encouragement to gain the educational experiences needed to accomplish my goals and become self-sufficient. So, with volunteering with Wilmington Housing Authority in the office at every event I could, in such activities like their annual playground and safety contests held at several different locations like the Kingswood Community Center, Southbridge Neighborhood House, or Wilmington Housing Authority high-rises such as Crestview right here. I especially enjoy participating in Wilmington Housing Authority's Spring Fling at the Parkview High-Rise for Residents Award and Recognition Dinner. This is where they also do the installation of resident council members and those kinds of events like that. I recently became a full-time employee at Delaware Tech Community College in the Registrar's Department as a student affairs specialist. Over the past 10 years, I have been striving to earn 2 associate's degrees and a bachelor's degree as well. This was a lot of hard work. I was attending face-to-face classes on weekends as well as online courses. Through all this time, some of it I was doing work study with resident services, and when there wasn't any work study available, I was doing volunteer services to help learn what I eventually wanted to do as being a social services coordinator with Wilmington Housing Authority's resident services. Soon to be. So I volunteer at the Wilmington Housing Authority Empowerment Fair with Mrs. Ermina and Mrs. Darnice and the awesome staff members in the Resident Services Department, where we share functioning information such as job link services, financial coaching, and credit repair workshops to all WHA residents in surrounding neighborhoods. Volunteering for the Resident Services Department motivates me to achieve my goals because it gives me the opportunity to engage in activities that focus on enhancing the lives of children and adult community members in Wilmington, Delaware. I am extremely interested in participating with an upcoming nonprofit organization called Teen Warehouse, who's committed to revolutionizing teen engagement in the Wilmington community. By working with other nonprofits, the goal of Teen Warehouse is to help kids and teens develop important skills. It is my goal to partnership/volunteer with an organization that is connected to Teen Warehouse, Inc. And just a little brief about my family, because I don't really want to talk about my private life, but my family members are motivating supporters of each other's efforts for increased prosperity. My daughters are in college, yes, and she's about to earn her bachelor's degree. We're hopeful to encourage my son to enroll in Delaware Tech Community College for the fall of 2020. And we delight in spending as much time as possible with each other. Our hopes is that we will have a day this summer to create a family portrait in a garden or on the beach. Thank you so much. That was my story.
See what you like.
My name is Leola Lightfoot. I was able to purchase a house from the Wilmington Housing Authority, and thanks to Miss Amina and Miss that they was big help. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have it. So, thank you very much. That's all I got to say, y'all.
All right, for the one person that didn't make it here, we have a fill-in that we asked to come up, and another home buyer, by the way, Miss Sheila Jackson. Sharita Jackson, come right on up and please tell us about yourself.
I was a resident in Riverside, and I'm a single mother of 3 boys. I never let my kids play outside at all. I would keep them in other curricular activities. They would have karate, and we would go to different parks. One park was over in Trolley Square. It's right there on the end of Clayton and Gilpin. Yeah, nice park. Love that park. All right, so anyway, I was introduced to the Ross program by one of the managers in Riverside. I can tell you that I never thought in a million years that I would be able to buy a home. I only could like save like $20 a week because I am a single mother. So going to the meetings, I met Miss Ermina, and it didn't happen overnight. So it was a lot of hard work, but I got the paper to say where my address was, and it said Clayton Street.
Okay.
So looking at Clayton Street, see, Clayton goes a little long way. So me and the kids, I said, okay, well, let's go see where this house is. So I said, I'm not going to move in the same predicament I am. We might as well stay here.
I hear you.
So we goes and we travel on Clayton Street, starting from the worst part of Clayton, because that's where I'm thinking I'm moving to. So we going up Clayton, and we going up some more, and then I'm like, we hit St. Francis Hospital. I said, wait a minute, what we doing here? I said, do y'all even know where we are? My mom was like, do you even got the address right? No. So I was like, yeah, Mom, come on, it's further right now. She was like, oh, let me look at the paper. This can't be right. So I was like, it's some more blocks down. So we go down some more, and then we on the last block of Clayton Street. Remember that park I told you about? That park is down the street from my house. We live on that block where we can see that park down the street from my house. This program helped me so much. And it not only helped me buy that home, that is my dream home, that I never thought that I would ever purchase in life. It also gave me the encouragement and go-getter attitude to own my own business. Now I am a business owner, a Scooby-Doo professional pet waste removal company. I wrote a 2-time award-winning poetry book called Thoughts of a Butterfly. So, I encourage people to go into these programs that HUD has to offer, that WHA has to offer, the urban program has to offer, because they work. And you just have to do your footwork, and you will get into what you want to get into. You can achieve what you want to achieve. And I did that. And I stand behind it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you hang. And that right there is why we can't have cookie cutter approaches to this. That's why we can't be dictated from Washington down. This thing needs to really come from the bottom up. Hearing these stories, hearing Sharita, hearing Leola, and hearing Nakia today, tell these stories, tell their stories of how it's impacted them. And that's the importance of what these EnVision centers are going to do. They will take a bottom-up approach, not only to government, but to helping people achieve self-sufficiency the way that you all have. So congratulations. That's all. So at this time, I'd ask, we're going to unveil the graphic, right? That's what we're doing, Lisa? Okay. And I actually read most of your script, by the way. We're going to ask you guys to come up. We're going to unveil the graphic, and then we have one more quick announcement when we're done after that. So all of our speakers talk about the one-stop shop, and you've heard these terms, ROSS and FSS. ROSS stands for a Resident Opportunity for Self-Sufficiency, and FSS stands for Family Self-Sufficiency. It's a way, working with the local housing authority, working with the local instructors, to connect with citizens, to essentially work their way up, to do things like buy their own home, as with these great stories which we heard about today. Right now, 2 of your one-stop shop coordinators are funded through HUD's Resident Opportunity Self-Sufficiency ROSS program grants, and 2 others are funded by the FSS grants. Both are designed to financially support service coordinators who work directly with residents to connect them with the existing programs and services, and who may help in the future help residents access services through this new EnVision Center. So it's my pleasure to present the big check for $142,000 to help support your good work going forward. And I'd be remiss too in also not recognizing that we also do have representatives here from Senator Carper's office and Congresswoman Blunt Rochester's office as well, because this is a good team that works together. And remember, this funding does come from the federal government. You can thank your congressional delegation for that as well.
All righty. That's one happy group. I always love the check.
Everyone can look right over here too.
Thank you.
Thank you.